Okay guys, it's a very cold night here. This is the ice storm. I'm hoping my camera's picking me up here. I'm sure I look lovely right now. This is how we're making really large signs that fit with our really small budget. So I've got simply a picture or sign that I have transferred to a transparency, and one of those classic little projectors like we used in school. Teacher would put the slide on, you'd copy stuff down, all that sort of thing. So I'm just taking a Sharpie marker here, and I'm outlining the various black and red lines onto what is actually from the Green Project for $6, a recycled old flat panel door like you would have found in the house about 20-30 years ago. So rather than have these thrown away, and most of them don't get used again to go in houses because they're not the quality we used today, but they're solid wood, and they were already painted white, so aside from touch up, that saves us a little bit. So just take the Sharpie, draw out the lines here, and reuse them as signs. Even if they just last a week or two here, we're good to go. For those who haven't been following the comments, I had 2 sign orders canceled in the last week or so because of the weather. So I spent pretty much all of Thursday, Friday, half of Saturday, and most of yesterday calling around to every sign place in the metro area, including some that are not within the metro area. My fellow candidate, Jason Coleman, gave the number of the guy that he used. He's over in Mobile. We tried as good as could be. He was going to put up some signs for us, and he still had 25, I think 100 to do for Gusman, but he was still willing to come over and try to do a few hundred for us. And finally, halfway through the day, calls me up and says, "Hey, sorry man, it's got too cold and the ink won't dry." So that killed that one. We were going to drive over in the storm and all that, but in the meantime, so we did what we had to do here, and so that's it. And so that's how we're making these signs here. And I guess really, if I'm going to be a good politician, I need to turn this into a campaign event in itself. And we're really, just like the sidewalks I did, and just like this apartment I'm in right here, these are things that I need to get done, but I did not have the money to do, or the proper materials, or should I say the ideal materials, an ideal budget. But really, in a city, do we ever really have the ideal budget? Do we ever have the ideal budget when we come to our houses, paying our bills and all that? And I think the answer from most people is that no, we don't. So I think this is a good exercise as an example of what I would see as something we need to look at for the city itself. We do have resources here, lots and lots of resources. The main resource we have, of course, is people. People with skills and people who want to have their city and have it rebuilt and back to either the way they remember it or better. And that's our first and most important thing. With the passion of our citizens, we have a willingness to help. But the one thing we have to do, the gap that has not been bridged thus far, is to figure out how to put that into action and how to enable and empower our citizens and our various organizations and nonprofits and all that to actually rebuild their own city. Here we are 8 years after Katrina, or even longer I guess now, and we're still talking about rebuilding. I don't think we expected to get what we got done in the first part of this done, and then so quickly, and especially to then be still talking about how we're going to, quote, rebuild New Orleans. Some people said it would take 20 years. Some people said we're beginning off. And a lot of us said that, hey, no, we're going to get out here and we're going to do it. And we did. And we've done a lot. But at the end of the day, we still have a lot more to do. And that's where we find ourselves here. And that's why I and my colleagues are running for city council. That's why some people are running for mayor, everything else. And that's hopefully why many of you will get out there and go to the polls on Saturday. Because we do have a lot left to do. And the question I have for everyone else is, are you willing and ready to get out there, put a little elbow grease into it? That's what you call this stuff right here. It's not too hard right now, but a little bit of elbow grease to be resourceful and to work with us and allow me to work with you and the other great candidates that are running and all the great resources in our city, from our artists and musicians for whom we are so famous, our wonderful restaurant scene and culinary culture. By the way, check out my brother, Terry Ward, Chef of Rouse's. He'll be on Guy Fieri's Supermarket Challenge there and on March 15th. Check him out on TV. He's proud. I'm excited. Hopefully I get some free stuff out of it. We'll see. But we also have people of every trade, of every neighborhood, every passion, every interest who live in our city, and more who are always moving to our city every day. And the one thing we cannot allow to happen is for our city government, our politicians, and even the people who just run various departments as contractors and such, to sit back and let things not get done because we don't have the ideal materials or the ideal budget or the right idea up front. Because the fact is, at the end of the day, if it were your own house and you had a hole in your wall, you didn't have the money to fully fix it with the right plywood and insulation and siding and all, if you had to go cut up a cardboard box, you'd make sure when you went to bed at night that there wasn't a hole in your wall still. Well, our city has a lot of holes in it. We have a lot of problems, a lot of unfinished projects. I think we all have those in our houses, in our lives, and especially in our city. Enough waiting around for the magical FEMA dollar, because we have to treat this like our homes is what it is. And in our homes, we don't just give up and say, I don't know, I don't understand, it's not my job. We get off our butts, we do what we have to do, and we get the job done, in the hopes that our families, our children, ourselves, whatever it is, the next time we're in this situation, the next time there's a day to wake up and go to sleep, that everybody's not going to have to fight the same things over and over again. And that these things will be one day done. Together we can make sure that happens. I'll take some pictures from this sign, looks more like a sign. But in the meantime, yeah, at least it's getting there. Thanks guys, stay warm.